We've always thought it was an accident. Luffy, a starving child, accidentally ate the Gomu Gomu no Mi. But what if it wasn't? What if Yonko Shanks, one of the smartest men in the world, deliberately left the most important fruit in history accidentally within reach of a child? The truth is, Shanks didn't lose the fruit to Luffy, he handed it to him. And the reason he stole it from the world government in the first place is the secret that changes everything. Let's analyze the scene that started it all. The red-haired pirates are at Makino's bar. The Gomu Gomu no Mi is in a chest on the counter. Luffy eats it. Shanks panics. End of story, right? Wrong. Think with me here. We're talking about Shanks, a Yonko. The man who rivals Mihawk, who stopped Kaido, who has a conqueror's haki that shakes ships. His crew is made up of some of the most competent pirates in the world. How is it possible that such an elite group, who just stole an Akuma no Mi from a world government ship, an act of war, casually leaves it in an open chest at a noisy bar? It makes no sense. This fruit was the prize of a dangerous mission, guarded by CP9 agents, the elite of intelligence. And suddenly it's just sitting there unprotected. Shanks's panicked reaction wasn't because Luffy ate the fruit. It was an act, a performance to convince everyone, including Luffy, that it was all an accident. Shanks is a master strategist. Nothing he does is by chance. That moment wasn't a miscalculation. It was the first step of a plan that would take over a decade to unfold. Remember, they stayed in Fuchsia Village for almost a year. Why would a pirate of his caliber stay so long on such an insignificant island in the East Blue? They weren't on vacation. They were waiting. They were watching Luffy, testing his character, waiting for the right moment to see if the will of the fruit would align with the boy. It was a compatibility test orchestrated. The Gomu Gomu no Mi wasn't just a treasure. It was bait, and Shanks knew exactly what kind of fish he wanted to catch. To understand why Shanks stole the fruit, we need to remember who he was. He was an apprentice on Goldie Roger's ship, the Oro Jackson. He was at Laugh-Tale, or at least very close to it. He heard the stories. He knows the truth about the lost century, about Joy Boy, and about the will of D. He knows the story didn't end with Roger. Roger said it was too early. He was waiting for someone. The theory is that Shanks knew what Roger learned at Laugh-Tale, that to bring the Aurora of the world, it wasn't enough to have the right will or be a D. You needed the right power. The power of Joy Boy, the Hito Hito no Mi model Nika. Shanks, as a guardian of Roger's legacy, took it upon himself to find this fruit and ensure it reached the right person. He wasn't looking for the One Piece for himself. He was looking for the key to the One Piece. The world government, for 800 years, tried to capture this fruit because they also knew of its power. Shanks' attack on the CP9 ship wasn't a common pirate robbery. It was a strategic interception. He stole the fruit from the clutches of the enemy, not to use it, but to take it off the board, temporarily. He knew that Nika's power was too dangerous to fall into the wrong hands, but also too powerful to be destroyed or hidden forever. And he also knew he wasn't Joy Boy. He didn't eat the fruit because he knew, perhaps through Roger's words, that his role wasn't to be the king, but to be the maker of kings. He accepted the role of supporting actor in the greatest story in the world, sacrificing his own glory for the promise of the future. If the idea that Shanks orchestrated the greatest accident in anime history is blowing your mind, then help our plan succeed. Like the video to show that you're part of this conspiracy. And if you don't want to miss the unfolding of this story, subscribe to One Piece Secrets and ring the bell. Okay, so Shanks has the most important fruit in the world. What does he do? He doesn't eat it. He doesn't give it to one of his crewmates. Why? Because he understands that Nika's power isn't just a skill. It's a symbiosis with the user's spirit. The fruit has a will of its own. It can't be forced. It needs a vessel with the right personality. Someone with a pure heart, an unshakable desire for freedom, and an indomitable spirit. And then, in a small village in the East Blue, he finds Monkey D. Luffy, a boy who is the embodiment of all of that. Adi, the son of his rival dragon, the grandson of the hero Garp, a child who dreams of being the pirate king, not for power, but for freedom. Luffy wasn't just a good candidate. He was the perfect candidate. The accident at the bar was the final test. Shanks left the fruit in plain sight, waiting to see if destiny, or the fruit itself, would choose Luffy. And it happened. The handing over of the straw hat wasn't just to inspire Luffy. It was to seal the pact. Shanks was saying, "I gave you the power, now I give you the symbol. Go and become the man Roger was waiting for." He didn't lose an arm to save Luffy. He invested an arm to protect the future of the world. The decisive moment was when Luffy shouted the same words Roger used about his dream. In that instant, Shanks saw his captain's ghost in the boy. He knew the bet had been made. The fruit had found its owner, and the new Joy Boy was born right before his eyes. Shanks wasn't creating a rival. He was cultivating a savior, even if that meant he would one day be surpassed. Shanks's plan, therefore, is much bigger and more complex than we imagined. He stole the fruit to take it from the hands of the government. He handed it to Luffy so that it could mature in an environment of freedom, away from the corrupting influence of power. And he became a Yonkou, not out of ambition, but to create a safe zone and maintain the world's balance while his investment grew. Every action of his since then has been to ensure that Luffy could follow his path. He stopped Kaido at Marineford so Luffy wouldn't have to face a Yonkou too early. He ended the war so the Marines wouldn't grow too strong. He observes from afar, only intervening when the balance protecting Luffy is at risk. He's like a gardener, taking care of the rarest seed in the world, pruning the branches around it to make sure it gets sunlight. His meeting with the Gorosei wasn't a betrayal. It was manipulation. He was probably feeding them information about a certain pirate, likely Blackbeard, to divert their attention from his true bet, the boy with the straw hat, who they still thought had the harmless power of rubber. And the final proof. He only decided to go after the One Piece after seeing Luffy's bounty poster in Gear 5. He waited until Nika awakened. His bodyguard mission was over. The final phase of the plan had begun. So that's why Shanks stole the Gomu Gomu no Mi. It wasn't for power, it wasn't for greed. It was an act of rebellion and hope. He stole the key to the aurora of the world from under his enemies' noses and handed it to the only person he believed could use it properly. Luffy's accident with the Akuma no Mi wasn't the beginning of his story. It was the climax of Shanks' story. Shanks isn't a villain. He's the world's greatest gambler. He bet his arm, his time and his status on a single boy, all to fulfill his former captain's will. And now his bet is about to bear fruit. Luffy isn't just Shanks' successor. He is the living result of his boldest plan. And this, my friends, is huge. Their reunion won't just be a hug between friends. It will be the moment when the student finally shows the master that the bet was worth it. Shanks isn't waiting to fight Luffy. He's waiting to give him the final key to Laugh Tale. But what about you? Do you think Shanks planned everything from the beginning? Or was it really the happiest accident in history? Leave your theory in the comments. Thanks for watching, and see you next time on One Piece Secrets.